we'll just give it one more little sip of tea since it's early here for me, and then we'll dive on in. All right, now I'm ready for this. So good morning, everyone. Thank you, or good afternoon, depending on where you are located. I'm Kelly Hoey. I'm author of the book, Build Your Dream Network, Forging Powerful Connections in a Hyper-Connected World. I have had I would say, a network entangled career that has brought me to becoming a published author. I started my career as an attorney. So funnily enough, there's some of the ways I approach networking that come from being a lawyer. Don't let that scare you. But since that, I've been a manager for a global law firm, building out their professional development, women's initiative, and alumni programs. I have been the first president for a global business network for women. I have co-founded a startup accelerator investing in female-founded mobile tech ventures. And somehow, shy of my 50th birthday, I decided I'm going to change careers again, and I am going to write a book. So there we go. And the book, Build Your Dream Network, the thread throughout my entire career has been networks and relationships. So this new era of networking, lots of people want to say, when 2020 went sideways back there in the first quarter, I want to say the panic of how we're going to build connections when we can't meet in person. I have been one of these people who sees that the in-person has not been replaced by the digital. The digital needs the in-person. All of this is human connection and communication. And how do we make use of these things in tandem to build stronger connections? So while some people have looked at digital connections and digital networking as secondary or lesser than networking, never been my view. Some people have looked at online, social media, social networking sites. They've looked at that as marketing and promotion. I'm like, no, it's how we communicate. It's how we engage. It's how we connect. But as I indicated in my brief interview or the brief introduction, I started my career as an attorney. And I think I have this view on how we can use and how we can thrive in this new era of networking. Started back, get ready, 1991 when I graduated from law school and started working at a law firm in Toronto. And if anyone else, has gray hair and remembers back to then like me, I think our technology was a Palm Pilot, if anyone remembers those. But as an attorney, I was expected not only to bill the hours and do the work like all of you in your careers, I was expected to build relationships. But how do you do that when you're stuck at your desk? So some of the things I want you to think about as part of your networking toolkit in this, I'm going to say in this era we're in now and going forward. Think of these things as part of your networking toolkit. Your voicemail, your email signature line, how you send an email, where your name appears on a letter or a memo. How about your invoice? What does it look like? What's your headshot on social media? I could go on. All of these touch points you have with clients, customers, competitors, colleagues, all of those touch points are networking. They are a chance to further and build a relationship. I'm going to take a big, long pause there for you to take that all in. How we mentor, how we lead, how we refer business, how we write a referral, all of this is networking. So while we are here at this online festival, and I'm so looking at the pictures from last year's event, everyone in person, it was like, damn, I missed that. But this is just like events, conferences, Festivals, that's just one type of networking. What happens every single day, every hour of the day, in between these large events, in between these moments? So, things I want you to think about in terms of networking. What's your reputation when you're not in the room? And that comes from how you lead, how you manage, how you refer. When someone does recommend you, let's be honest, what do we all do? We Google someone's name. So part of your networking toolkit is, what is your bio on your company or your personal website? Have you updated it? What's the headshot? Figure out a way to get that professional headshot or get an updated one. And I have a funny story on that. There was a guy I worked with, and I'm sure he hadn't had his headshot updated from 1995. And I saw him in, let me think, 2017, 2018. I was like, George, you're a good looking guy, but you haven't aged that well. Like, these things matter. It says who you are. We're still Neanderthal, little peanut brains in there somewhere that needs to know for friend or foe. So update that headshot. Google yourself. This is one of my notes for all of you. Google yourself and see what shows up, because that's within your power and control. And what's going to show up likely is your company website or your personal website and your LinkedIn profile. One of the other things I'd suggest all of you do in terms of networking, and then I'm going to get to your questions. We're always thinking about networking is how we can network with someone new. One of the most powerful things with networking is keeping the people you already know informed. The people who already know us and love us, and I don't care if it's 2 people or 200 or 200,000, the people who already know you. Think of the power of growing your network and expanding your influence, your reputation spreading through the people you already know. So in terms of people you already know, do they know you're here? Honestly, do they know you're here? So one of the things I want you to do, change your out of office on your email. Indicate that today, tomorrow, you are attending this online festival. It is one, social signaling to your network in terms of your availability, but it is also networking, because someone may say to you in the industry, hey, what's this all about? I've never heard of it. And now you've started a conversation with them. Something other than perhaps, can you send me business, or do you have a job for me, or can you pay your bill? All right, I'm going to take a pause, take a little sip of tea, and then I'm going to get to your questions. And hopefully all of that made sense. We're looking good on time. Okay. There was a question here, and I love this. Been in the industry for yonks, yet new to the virtual network game. Any ideas on even where to start? Love that question. Here is where I would start. Parminder, this is where I would start. Big breath. That's first place I'd start. Second place I would start is, and I've said this before, and for all of you, go and Google yourself. What shows up? That is going to give you a really good indication of where to start. And it may be with your networking online, you want to start with the profile or profiles that already exist and describe you, your skills, your reputation, your accomplishments that already exist. So that's probably, as I said, your company's website or your personal website. Might need a little zhuzhing up. Maybe there's some not-for-profit or industry boards you sit on. What's the bio that is on those sites? We have a tendency to toss the same bio out to every single person who asks for it, rather than saying, let me tailor this for what I'm doing or trying to achieve or seeking to accomplish right now. And whether it is an industry or whether it is, like I said, a not-for-profit that is about your passion, it should be portraying who you are so that you're getting more of what you want coming your way. Okay, so Google yourself, see what already exists, see what needs to be edited. I already indicated the other thing that's probably going to show up really high in Google because it has a high page ranking in their search algorithm is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is extraordinarily powerful as a social network, as a professional social network. I always sort of say, I visualize myself putting on my jacket and picking up my briefcase when I get on LinkedIn. What is it? It's over 700 million professionals in 200 countries or something that are playing around on LinkedIn. It's where recruiters go to find people. It is where the media goes to check credentials. If those of you who are looking to be found, sought out, as experts in your industry for articles or media interviews, this is where they go and check credentials. So you want to have, a complete profile that, showcases what you've done, your skills, your accomplishments, all that kind of good stuff. Connecting to others in the industry, not as a haphazard, vanity metric of, ooh, I've got more than 500 followers nonsense, but showing that you're connected to the other industry leaders and others in your industry. For somebody else, again, it's just a verification point, not the vanity metric, but, oh, look, she is also connected to XYZ, okay? So there, in terms of thinking of your question, are places that I would think of, starting with social media. There is a tendency for people to say, oh, you should, in terms of social media. And I'm like, pause. Where are your customers? What's the information they're seeking? Or where's their industry news that you should be looking at? Think of social networks, social media, before you start creating your TikTok account or whatever else. Think of it in that context, as a networking room that you're walking into. Think of it as, where is the information, the client base, the colleagues, where are they talking and conversing that if I'm not there, I might be missing out on it. So let me give you, kind of by way of example, and it's another from the legal industry, and it was a very pompous male attorney from a Boston-based firm who told me that he was in private equity, that he did not need to be on Twitter because it was just not useful to his client, like his bit practice or anything else. I said, really? And this was over cocktails. So I took another sip of my cocktail and I said, I'll send you an email in the morning with my thoughts. So I sent him an email with a list of 75 Twitter handles, his competitors, his clients, and some of the people they were following. And I said to him, 30 minutes of research. And this is what I found. Do you want me to go on, or are we good to say that I won the little question from last night? There may be information on social networking sites that you should be aware of. I'm not saying you should be tweeting or TikToking or snapping or, some of this stuff, but you might want to be aware of the conversation and be sure that you're listening and finding it, because it may give you an entree to pitch someone. It may give you an insight on a client, before the press release, because who reads those? More people are likely to read a tweet. So there's my thought on that. Let me go to questions again, and hopefully that answered your question. If it didn't answer all of it, comment on your question and tell me what your follow-up is on all of this. I love this. When connecting online, what can I do to stand out? Any tips for effective messaging? Great question. One of the ways of standing out is consistency. Let me just run through this very briefly. As I mentioned before, I think of social networking sites no differently than like in person, because it is real. It's not social networking, online networking, virtual networking is no different than any other human interaction. It's human interaction. I'm looking at the screen and I am seeing a big green C for Jordan, and I'm seeing my face, and then I'm seeing a bunch of names. But I know behind all those names, there's people. There's people with questions and careers and accomplishments and challenges and kids and balancing act of all this nuttiness that's going on. And that's what I'm thinking about. So I think about that when I get on LinkedIn. I think about that when I get on Facebook or Instagram. I think about that when I get on Twitter, that this is not an avatar. This is a human being, and I want to have a conversation with them. So the way to stand out is being consistent, being human, and showing up and having human conversations. Showing up with a marketing, message and jumping in. Like, take Twitter, for example. I think of Twitter as the world's biggest cocktail party. And there's some cocktail parties I want to be part of, and there's some I never want an invitation to. But when I show up, I want to have conversations and I want to say hi to people. My friend Liza Donnelly, the New Yorker cartoonist, she gets on Twitter every morning and says, "Hi, gang," like, "Hi, everybody." And people jump in her stream and say hello. My friend Lyndon Johnson, yes, his name is Lyndon Johnson for any Americans who might be listening right now. Lyndon, who is in PR and marketing, he gets on Twitter every morning and says, "Good morning, how can I help you? Here's my contact information. Here's how you can reach me." So you get on and you have a human conversation. And guess what? When you meet those people offline, whether it is, on a Skype or on a Zoom, or heaven forbid, in person, when you've been conversing online, it is no different when you meet in person. And all of a sudden, that time you've invested. So ways to be, kind of stand out online is showing up as thinking to yourself, how can I be of service to other people? Can I add to their conversation? Can I post information that's going to help them with their careers, with their lives, with their jobs, with their challenges? We think so much, whether it's with networking in person or networking online, we're always thinking, oh my God, what am I going to say? Some of this is how we're going to listen. How are we going to pay attention what's fretting and concerning others? Because if we do, that'll reveal how we can help them. And that is going to make us stand out and add value and deepen a relationship and lead to more opportunities. So, there's some kind of ideas there. On social media, as I said, Twitter, I think of as the grand old cocktail party. Facebook, I think of like friends and family. Instagram's kind of a little bit of a hybrid. Because of the visual, we might share some about work, we might share some about our personal lives. And then LinkedIn, to me, that's the office, as I indicated before. Put your suit on, grab your briefcase, you're heading into the office there. We may share the same information on all social networking sites. But if we think about how we converse with other people in the context, it's different. How you would describe a promotion is different to a work or industry colleagues, which would be LinkedIn, than different than you describe a promotion around the dining room table with your family versus, which would be Facebook, versus if you were sitting around with your closest gal pals celebrating your promotion, it would be a different dialogue. And that would be Twitter. So it's all the same information, but the context matters. So when you're thinking about social media, think about being of service, think about being the context, think of showing up regularly. The illusion with social networks and social media sites is because of the ease of making the connection. It's a click, it's a swipe, it's a tap. We're connected, right? No, we have to build the trust. That human element of getting to know someone hasn't changed. there's part of that. So Farah, if you wouldn't mind giving me a little more context, I'll also put an email address. You could email me personally, and if you don't want to put all the information in the app, and